So today we're going to plan ahead because mince pies are a British requirement for the Christmas season, and my husband, being a Brit, needs his mince pies, as well as many of our friends and family who have come to love the mince pies. Most seasons we go buy a jar of mince and then we mince meat and we put it into pie crusts. And looking online, I found lots of recipes that basically provided you with a pie crust and then told you to go buy a jar of mince meat and put it into your pies. But why would I do that in 2020 when we can do it from scratch? So I found a recipe from BBC. I found several recipes that I am sort of morphing together to put together a mincemeat recipe that will be tasty. Mincemeat. Let's talk about mincemeat. Historically, meat was in this, and this was a savory dinner dish from what I could find out. However, there is one key piece of meat that still exists in the mincemeat, and that is suet, beef suet. And beef suet is the waxy fat that comes off some of the internal organs of a cow. We're meat eaters in this house. We are not vegetarians. If you were a vegetarian, you could get vegetarian suet. It will take months to get here. They do sell it in the UK. And I've never seen it here. Or some recipes call for butter. I'm not willing to go the butter route, although I was almost forced into it with the suet search. But I hesitate to use the butter because the whole point of the suet is to give body and rigidity. This is a waxy fat, not just it will melt in the oven and come back. Butter doesn't really do that. It will incorporate in and it will make a much softer mince pie. So we went and found the real thing. We found suet. Suet, and here's a picture of your suet. It is a little bloody and everything, but this is gonna sit and macerate in brandy until it gets good in the next 48 hours or so. Some people leave it in for up to 6 weeks. We're not going to wait that long because we need our pies before then. Raisins. I happened to stop on my way up through California and got real raisins. So we have a mixture of crimson jumbos and golden jumbos for raisins. I'll be putting in some figs. I'll be putting in some dried apricots. Just a few dried apricots. I will be putting in some currants, and I'll include all the measurements for you. There will be some lemon juice, brown sugar. The recipe calls for dark brown sugar. I could only find light brown sugar, so we're going to just put in a little tablespoon of molasses. I happen to have blackstrap. Oregon Brandy will be going in there, so this will be an Oregonian British delicacy. And that's all. The first step in this is to grate the suet. Now in the UK you can buy pre-grated suet. When I found this on Amazon, I found this too late. It would take till January to get here. So I went to my local meat market, ours local here, and I'll put this in the comments in the info below. Our local meat market is called the Meeting Place, and they sell frozen 1-pound chunks of suet. My husband has bought the suet before to turn into lard, David? No, tallow, beef tallow, to turn into beef tallow, which is a cooking process. This stuff, we just grate it up, mix it in with all these flavors and let it rest, and then it will be baked and cooked in the oven to create the mince pies. So the first thing you have to do, and I am not going to leave the camera on while I do this, is take your hunks of suet. I've cut mine up into pieces. Drop them into a food processor and grate them. Why a food processor, you ask? I really don't want to touch this that much. It's really waxy and greasy, and I decided that maybe if any time was a good time to get out the food processor, this would be it. I'm looking for my little, oh, here's my little cat. All right, we're going to turn the camera off now while I grate this up, and I'll show you what it looks like grated. This ain't pretty, folks. It's a little greasy. But I'm just going to scrape it all in here, and I'm going to add the other ingredients and let this soak for a couple of days. Hopefully it'll be tasty. I think it will. I've had mince pies before, and as much as they're not my favorite Christmas treat, but they are the British family's favorite Christmas treat. So we will carry on. Will you get me a spatula, Grayson? We'll carry on mixing all this in. I will have to weigh this afterwards and make sure that I have about the right amount. Would you like some liquid? Do you think I should use this, or should I just reserve it for the grate? Or should we refrigerate it and regrate? So there's a ridge in the top. I have some beef.
Cook some eggs in it.
Huh?
Cook some eggs in it.
We could cook some eggs in it. We could rub this on a pine cone and let the birds have at it. Cause it's
I'm sure
pretty.
Atlas would love it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna let the dog have this. All right, there's that. This is gonna take quite a bit of cleaning. There's that. And that. Oh, here. And that. Oh, I need assistance from my handy dandy British husband, because this is so firmly placed that you can't get it off. There's some grated, but there's some that, oh, there, the grated stuff is, look at that. Just out quite nicely. I don't know how they make this stuff shelf stable. God knows what kind of additives get put into it to make it shelf stable, if there are any, or do they just toss out the...
We'll find out when we see how different it tastes.
Yeah, we will. There. Everybody I know who you've had it from has used vegetarian.
Yeah.
Because I had a chat with that person last night. Alright, so the recipe calls for, I gotta get the grease off my fingers. Be right back, folks. We can cut this out. Alright, I gotta check how many ounces it is. 300 grams. Do you have a scale? I think there's one in the shop. Because I think this is more than 300 grams. It's sitting right in there.
Yeah.
And we'll zero out. Zero this out. This is milliliters. 300 grams. And the key to most British recipes is they do everything by weight. So having a scale is a helpful thing. See if we are zeroed out. All right, I'm going to start with the grated, and then if I need the kind of messier stuff, I'll put it in. It's 101. Well, it's using up a lot of the suet. $3.20. There. We could almost make a double batch. Do we want to make a double batch? There. All right. It's being fickle. Being very fickle. 300 grams. And that's how much is left. Hopefully you can figure out something to do with this, David, because I will likely not. What else can we make with suet? I'm gonna get a towel. All right, we have our 300 grams of suet. We have a bowl. We need a bowl. We have a bowl. We have our 300 grams of suet. 300 grams of suet. We'll get it all in there. This is gonna need a wash now. All right, 300 grams of suet. We need the juice of 1 lemon. used to have a lemon juicer.
No, I have that now.
Oh, you took it. Then I'm gonna do it the hard way. I might need man hands for this. Come around this way. Really? You're gonna put your back in front of the camera instead of coming around? There. Ooh! Down, David, down. I'll get the pits out. Here, you want to squeeze this one as well? I just heard that pit go in. Alright, and we have a pit. 370 grams. Let's go 250 grams of dark brown sugar. Everything in my life is a knife. Okay, gonna need a measuring cup. Let's get this zeroed out. There's 80. $100. $150. I'm just gonna take a spoon in my old knife, my old molasses, and pull out a blob of blackstrap molasses. Ooh, getting some brown sugar on the label. Thus darkening it up a bit. There we go. Later. Okay, brown sugar. Now, here's the fiddly bit. I'm checking my entire, we need 625 grams of dried fruit. And that's the part that's going to require another bowl. 625 grams of fruit. And I'm going to put on and 0. And this fruit might need to be chopped, which is why I don't want to mix it up with the suet. We'll start with 150 grams of each of the raisins. Okay, 250 grams of raisins. Those go in. Now, this is the trickier bit. 375 grams of currants. figs. Wow, this figs weighed a lot. And some a few leftover fruits. I'm going to chop up the currants and raisins are fine. Those are, I don't need to chop up, but I am going to chop up the figs and the apricots. So there is my currants. Do a little chopping, and on this knife is a little bit of dried cranberries. And I kind of already decided if a little bit of dried cranberry ends up in the mix, that's not a bad thing. I think that would add, not subtract from the mince. Honestly, the brandy is probably gonna do plenty of bit of a big knife for this job. Here's the apricots. Figs. After this, we need one more ingredient, and that is peel. $85 grams of peel. And I have some homemade limequat that I'm going to put in. Because I'm assuming by peel, it says mixed peel, and that to me is the candied dried mixed peel that one finds at the grocery store. Figs get dried, they get dried a lot. Figs are grow pretty well here, and I have several friends with fig trees in their yard. And this, other than the seeds on the inside, bears little resemblance to the fresh, soft, delicate figs that I ate in August or September. I don't know. Do you remember when were the figs ripe? I think it's August. I remember eating them out in the patio, because I shared them with some of my knitting friends, and we could have patio chats.
It was warm.
It was warm, yeah. So I'd say August, around in the August. There are many people, even despite the fact that we can grow figs here, one of the gals that was in our knit group had never had them before, and I had never. It's amazing how when you're young, that there are many families that don't have adventuresome eating lifestyles. I grew up in a house where we weren't very adventuresome with our food. It's pretty much similar things from week to week. and I had never tried a fig until I lived here. In fact, I would say 2 years ago was probably the first time I'd eaten a fig. And I tried one, there were a couple of different kinds of figs, and I tried one that I didn't like very much. It was my first fig, and so I was like, right then, don't love that, I don't need to eat those again. And then I was educated into the fact that there is more than one kind of fig, and that I hadn't tasted the best one. So then the green figs that we have are, apple. Need a couple of apples. And then I need 100 milliliters of brandy. We can pre-pour that. Thank you. Give me 2. Because let's talk about Bramley. How big is a Bramley apple, David? So should I do 3 apples or 2 apples to equal 1 Bramley? 3? Oh, I'm going to need 3 apples. And I'm going to need a new knife because that knife is not a friend in the paring apple department. Here, let's move the brandy so that you can see. Is everything covered? So I'm just chopping the apple up. I'm going to core it and peel it. Especially after I core this, I might need 4 after I peel it. It's too bad we can't candy apple peels. I've never seen it done. Should we try it?
I don't think they'd hold up.
I don't think they'd hold up either. I think they'd fall apart. But I just candied. So I just put in, because for another recipe that we're doing this week, we needed glacé cherries. And I purchased my glacé cherries, but the amount of extra unpalatable stuff in those glacé cherries did not impress me. Plus, they're not a realistic color. They are Dayglow red and Dayglow green. We picked the red ones because we picked red ones that were mixed with pineapple, and just because green just seemed somehow wrong for cherries. But I also picked up some dried cherries, and we candied them here today. And they came out pretty good. So we'll see if they taste similar to a glacé cherry, but with less junk in it. Now those dried cherries were not stuff free. They already came preloaded with some sugar, because when they dry cherries, they already add in the sugar. But, you know, candying them, we added in sugar too. So I added in even more sugar. But we did a survey of all the cookies and stuff that we're making, and they're all cookies from our childhood. But we're doing our best, despite the fact that they are clearly all a dessert and not necessarily the best food to be eating every day. We are trying to kind of up the ingredients so that, you know, these are organic apples. And we're trying not to get the glacé cherries in a container. We're trying to make our cherries fresh. And my orange peel and lemon peel I've made fresh. Limequats are what's going to go in as the citrus peel on this. Last quarter. The last apple. So there's that. And I need, of course, it's sticky. Where's my jar? here is my candied limequats. We need 75 milligrams of those. Let's see what we have here. Let's see if I need a little extra. No, perfect, sweet. So we have exactly the right amount of limequat, which is what I'm going to call my citrus peel, although I'm going to add just a tiny grated orange peel as well. Just because the orange peel seemed to add so much to the, and watch for this recipe, we will make it accessible to you as well. Grayson's dumpster fire, 2020 dumpster fire cookies. Every year, my handy dandy sidekick, Grayson, makes a new cookie. She has a theory of cookie ingredients. And they make
breaks all the rules.
And yeah, there are rules associated with these cookies every year. And this year's is the dumpster fire cookies. So you too will be able to enjoy the dumpster fire cookies. We now have all the ingredients except the 100 milliliters of brandy that is going in next. I'm a little concerned that 100 milliliters won't be enough. But I don't have a good head on. I'm a US measurement girl most of the time. So, how much is 100 milliliters? That's not very much. We might need to put a little more in.
Careful there.
100 milliliters is the very bottom of this. That's 100 milliliters right down there.
We don't need to get a root drunk on mince pies.
Well, no, they cook out.
I know.
All right, handy dandy husband, I need help. I can't open that lid. Maybe I'll put 200 milliliters in, because I was heavy-handed in the fruit. Just 200 milliliters. And then we'll mix it and stick it in the fridge.
double.
I'll monitor it. Right?
Start with 100 and see where it gets you.
Well, I'm going to show you what 100 is.
I know what 100 is.
Oh, you do? Because I don't. That's 100. It's not even a quarter of a cup. Alright, let's take my wooden spoon and see what it does. If it makes it nice and saucy. These are awfully dry currants. They might need softening. They might need softening with more, actually, there might be, I did see a recipe with vinegar in it too. That is an alternative we could do, is throw in some vinegar instead of brandy. Which would you prefer, David? Vinegar or brandy?
Brandy.
Brandy.
It's not enough.
No, I don't think it's enough either. It's not even enough to wet the whistle of this fat.
I can't see the mixture, so do whatever you want.
All right, we're gonna put some more in. There, that's perfect. There's now, it's not sloppy, it's just damp now. It wasn't damp before. I'm just breaking up these currants with my hands. They're very sticky. It's very boozy over here right now. But
I wonder why.
But Oregon Brandy is quite mellow. It's mellow brandy. It's not going to be strong like a good British brandy would be, is it?
Good.
David is acting as cameraman right now, but refusing to speak because he doesn't want to be on the camera. You got to see his back when he came in for the...
Oh my god. It is very boozy over here.
The floor's a little sticky too. I think I dropped some sticky fruit. Alright, I'm going to show you what we have so far, but I'm going to keep mixing this because I think the suet really needs to be blended in better. And I need to take a spatula to get the molasses incorporated in. But that's it. Everything I've told you is what has gone into this. Here is the finished product. I will be continuing to mix this to break up the suet so that it's not in lumps. It definitely needs to be incorporated into the whole mess. The recipe will be below for what I've done here. And when we sign on in 2-3 days from now, the Advent day will be chess pies and mince pies. And what we'll be doing on there is taking this and putting it into little pie crust to make little tarts. And I'll be making my favorite little tart, which is chess pies. And that's one of the pies that my grandmother made when I was a kid. But this is it for today. I'm going to put this in the fridge for the next 3 days. And I'll see you tomorrow.